Hello everyone, welcome to this week's Deck Tech. So I've got a list this week that I'm calling Scales and Steel, and it's based on a list that I saw quite a long time ago, I believe by Zinc Metal Alloy in chat, but it doesn't have a whole lot of the guts left of it. So it was a Praxis Dragons list, and I switched out and I went a lot more Skycrag. So I wanted to play more powerful dragons, and Thunderstrike Dragon is just an incredible amount of value. Like, the card is just so good. It gives you a lot of threats, and they're just massive. So I like the idea of being able to play Thunderstrike Dragon, but it does mean that you basically have to play Primal. So the core of the deck is really just to try and play as many dragons off of Oni Dragonsmith as possible. And it's got some cool little tricks, essentially, to do it. And what we're trying to do is try and curve out Oni Dragonsmith into Crimson Firemaw is kind of the dream. So if you can turn 1 Oni Dragonsmith, turn 3 Crimson Firemaw, then you can just go off, because you can play almost everything after that. You hit them, make everything cheaper, draw a couple cards, maybe be able to play something else, and you just kind of chain it together from there. There's some really cute little tricks that we have. So you've got a massive dragon package. This is not a cheap deck. You have double legendary Molot Nakova, Rimescale Draconus, Thunderstrike Dragon, Soulfire Drake, Pouncing Drake, and then Crimson Firemaw, all as legendaries. So, sorry, not Pouncing Drake, but like everything else as legendary, right? You got Molot Nakova, Rimescale, Soulfire, and Crimson Firemaw as your legendaries. Tons and tons of rares, so it's not an easy deck to build, but it's super, super fun to play because it looks very straightforward, curve out, play dragons, remove small creatures with Permafrost, Torch, Hailstorm, which is a lot of your strategy. But the draw spells give you a little bit of some edges, and there's some fun things you can do with it, because you do have Warp. So you have Second Sight in the deck as one of the draw spells. It's been largely replaced, as you might know, by Strategize, because you draw 2 cards, put 1 from your hand on top of your deck. Strategize, you get to put 1 on the bottom. Much, much better in most circumstances, because you'll always have a card that you don't want to have in your hand for the most part. However, Second Sight, there's a lot of cards with this deck that you do want to have in your hand. So biggest example, of course, being Thunderstrike Dragon. Obvious choice, it's got Echo, so every time you draw it, you get a second copy. It's the big advantage of it. It's nice when you can make it cheaper already with Crimson Firemaw or with Oni Dragonsmith, so you can get extra value off of it. But there's some other tricky little things that you can do. You've got to remember that you've got a lot of crests, so you can put something back on top, and then you can bottom it anyways at the crest. But there's even more that you can do than that. Crimson Firemaw is a thing. So if you're stuck where you don't quite have enough power for your Molot and Nakova, but you have all the influence requirements, so say that you have 6, you can Second Sight your Molot and Nakova to the top, attack with your Crimson Firemaw, and then actually have a 4-cost Molot Nakova to play. You can do the same thing with Pouncing Drake, and you can immediately play it with the Warp. So if you've got the Warp, you just go Second Sight, put it back on top, Crimson Firemaw hits, then after combat, you play Pouncing Drake again as just 1 cost, or even just for free if you have an Oni Dragonsmith, and you draw the card back. So you're actually just straight up drawing 2 cards off of your Second Sight. So there's a lot of really cool little things that you can do like that to gain some edges. And I found the deck to be pretty fun, and we're going to run it through some games here for you, and hopefully we see something pretty interesting.